you think the US and UK government are doing enough to protect you and the Hong Kong diaspora from Chinese transnational repression?
Uh, there's certainly a lot more can be done. Taking the APEC protest as an example, we firsthand experience that local authorities and local governments do not have a comprehensive knowledge or do not have a comprehensive picture in navigating the dynamics amongst Chinese, Tibetan, Uyghur, Hong Kong community. And it was also one of the reasons why a lot of conflicts or assaults would happen, because there's a lot of things that could be done better by or organized or planned better ahead of time to prevent this sort of assault or transnational repression happened. And so one thing is education to frontline officers and also local authorities. It also implied to the UK as well, because we could see a lot of local councils or police. They do not have the knowledge to differentiate the Hong Kong and the Chinese community, and a lot of incidents happen from there. And the second thing is some assertive move or assertive activities are waited to be done by the higher governments. So far for now, since the bounties and also the implementation of the Article 23, we didn't see sanctions, for example, imposed to Hong Kong officials, to the CCP's officials. We didn't see a lot of diplomatic actions had to be done in responding to the crackdowns. Once again, the second wave of crackdowns on human rights in Hong Kong, and there definitely there's been lots going on in the world right now, and it's the elections year this year as well. The US and the UK are also having their elections, presidential and general elections, ongoing respectively. We have been expecting more response from both governments in response to the China policy, and also in response to safeguarding Hong Kongers, no matter their overseas or on the ground, their safety and their rights and freedom. And the first thing is so in the US, a lot of activists and advocacy group have been advocating to to review and to shut down the Hong Kong Economic and Trade offices, which we see as a proxy of the Hong Kong government and PRC governments in the American and the British soil. And we are yet to have any progress in these three aspects. And in protecting dissidents, I must say, humanitarian pathway is also an essential tool for democracies, to protect people who are under repression.
Yeah, wasn't one of the people who was indicted in the UK, like, didn't he do some work for the Hong Kong, Economic Trade Office?
Yes, he's a manager. According to public documents, he is a manager in the London Hong Kong Economic and Trade offices. Yeah.
So then he was also indicted for essentially like spying on Hong Kongers for the CCP.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It amazes me that countries around the world allow the CCP to do these kinds of things on their soil.
I think I think the FBI has been doing more in terms of like transnational repression over the last few years and publicizing these cases and doing these public indictments. But there obviously is a lot more that goes on that that they don't cover or haven't investigated. So it's a really tricky issue.
Yeah, I think the problem is that there's no red lines for China or the Hong Kong government that, like, if you do this, there will be these consequences. Currently, there really are not a whole lot of consequences for China or the Hong Kong government doing any of this.
Right. I remember several years ago, there was so much spying happening from the Chinese consulate in Houston that the U.S. government just shut down that whole consulate. But that was a pretty unusual case. But if they can do that, they can also do that with the Hong Kong offices, because those are essentially spying hubs.
Yes, indeed, and there has been a lot of reports and investigation being published by non-profits or think tanks recently, both in the UK and the US. And not only the consulate has been served as a spying agent, but also a lot of Chinese secret police has been conducting their works on the American soil. And I must say there's a lot can be done, but it cannot be done after incidents happened. We always wish the government could pose prevention measures instead of responding to incidents after they happened. So and one of the other reasons that we question about the legitimacy of the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office, not only because they has been served as a spying agents for the Hong Kong and the PRC government, but also since the reason of the HAETOs are allowed to operate in the US and the UK was because Hong Kong was seen as a autonomous region from the PRC, and that's why they can have an identical office operate here in the US. And but after the crackdowns, after 2019, a lot of evidence can demonstrate that Hong Kong is no longer an autonomous region, and one country, two system, as promised in the Basic Law, isn't there anymore. So we in these two, major reasons, we do think that the government should take a step forwards, at least to review its diplomatic privileges and immunities.